I just think you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong by equipping yourself with the right information.
Melissa Jacques is a highly respected West End actress whose career spans landmark musicals, bold new writing, and major international productions.
I will always look like I'm calm and I'm chill and say hello, have a smile. If I've not met somebody, hi, how are you? Haven't seen you since then. Hello, 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 hello. Make sure I've given everybody eye contact.
Her theatre credits include leading and featured roles in standout performances in Just for One Day, which is incredible, Everyone's Talking About Jamie, and of course I Cried, Kinky Boots, Wicked, Mamma Mia, and The Full Monty, to name just a few.
My job is a massive part of me. It gives me purpose. And when I'm working and I'm fulfilled, then I'm a better person at home. I'm a better parent. I'm a better wife.
On screen, Melissa appears in Disney's Disenchanted and the incredibly brilliant Universal films Wicked and Wicked 2. With a career defined by longevity, range, and consistency at the highest level, Melissa remains a trusted and dynamic presence in her profession. And of course, I'm very proud to call her my friend. I can't wait for you all to meet the incredible Melissa Jacques. Time to Speak is a space to pause, think, and talk about the power of voice and the art of human connection. Through open conversation with leaders and changemakers, we explore how voice, presence, and authentic connection shapes who we are, how we lead, and the impact we make in our work and lives. Welcome to Time to Speak. Hello, Melissa. Welcome to Time to Speak.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
That's my pleasure, my friend. It's great to have you on. So it's a special treat for me to have such a good friend on the podcast. Obviously, we've got a lot of history. It's more than 30 years.
Yes.
It's a long time. So we've got a lot we can talk about. But I know a lot of my listeners will be really curious to know like how you push through, how you get on stage, how you overcome anxiety, nerves, work-life balance, all of those things. So we've got so many things that we can cover and talk about. But first, I just want to know, how are you today?
I'm all right. It's middle of the afternoon. I've taken the kids to school and I've done the errands that I need to do in the house. And when they arrive, we have about an hour. When they get home from school, there'll be like an hour turnaround, and that'll be then me in the car down to the station and into work in time for warm up, which is about 5:45.
Yeah, it all sounds pretty seamless.
It is, and I think that's only because of the length of time I've been in the industry. You know, when I sort of think about when I was younger, I'd probably just about this time in the afternoon, I might just then head just head into town and see where that takes me. Do you know what I mean? But now, over the past 15 years, as my eldest is 15, past 15 years since the children, there's a definite timetable. You know, you sort of got to wait until childcare turns up before you can leave, or wait to make sure that they're back from school and husband's home and everything's sorted for dinner. Everybody okay? Okay, now I can leave and know that everything's sorted. Pickups, drop-offs, everything. You know, it is it's like another job, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what show are you in at the moment?
I'm in a musical called Just for One Day at the Shaftesbury Theatre, and it's funny because I think the title of it is Just for One Day, the Live Aid musical, and it's it's a musical about Live Aid, and not specifically just the gig, but how I think people come thinking they're just going to see some sort of like tribute show and just see Live Aid played out. But actually it starts with Bob and how Band-Aid came to be, and the single, and that very first broadcast from Ethiopia with Michael Burke on BBC on, 6 o'clock news. And how he was like, right, I'm going to do this. And he raised all the money from the single, and then it wasn't enough. So he's like, right, what else can I do? And he put Live Aid on in something like 6 weeks, just under 6 weeks. It's absolutely crazy. And by a certain point in the gig, of Live Aid, they were £100 million. Like, it's just crazy. It wouldn't happen
Yeah.
now. So yeah, so there are people playing Bob Geldof, playing Midge, playing Harvey Goldsmith. And then as far as when it comes to performances from the gig, like Freddie Mercury or David Bowie or I don't know who else I can think of off the top of my head, but they're not so much people doing impersonations, but it's kind of I can't find the word, sort of like their own an interpretation, but kind of not mimicking by any means. It's kind of like a band of players, and they're going to sing a Tears for Fears song, or they're going to sing a U2 song. Do you know what I mean? So nobody is playing David Bowie, but there are people playing Bob and Midge, and I play a woman whose daughter's about to set off to university, and I shove my old Live Aid book in her rucksack to take with her, and she's like, why? I'm like, well, because you want to make a difference, and that's what we were doing, and she don't want to hear it. So I kind of like magically open the book. It's kind of like oh wow, and all of a sudden there's the noise of the crowd, and from that moment on, that's me sort of, and then Bob arrives in this universe that we seem to have created, and then I'm sort of Bob and myself take her on the journey of like, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened, until it gets to the end where she's like, actually, when people can come together, it's not over. People have to keep going and keep trying to make a difference. So it's a really important story. It's a really important moment in history. And 10% of every ticket sale goes to the trust. So at the moment, we're at 1.6 million that we've raised.
It's fantastic.
So it's an amazing rock musical. The band are on stage, they're live. It's phenomenal. The sound is amazing, and raising money for the cause as well.
Yeah, I should probably own up and say that I did come and see you, and I think it's brilliant. And I know what you mean. Every person on stage, they are their own artist.
Yes.
So yeah, you're definitely not going to see a tribute in any way.
No.
You can enjoy it because everyone is so incredibly unique and brilliant,
Very
and bringing
individual.
those songs back to life in that amazing story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. But it's coming to an end, sadly, isn't it? So,
yeah, we were supposed to be playing until April. I don't know. We're very busy now, of course, because we're coming to an end. And we were on the Royal Variety performance along with Bob and Midge and Michael Burke, and had this wonderful section on the Royal Variety performance, and that's brought people in. But it's a certain demographic. I think they were really trying to sort of get young people to come in to see this is what happened and this is what can happen, and that's what Bob talks about. If people come together, you can do great stuff. So it's about it was trying to educate the young people, but of course the demographic of this musical is, our busiest shows are the matinees, Wednesday matinee and Saturday matinee, because if you were 20, 30 at Live Aid, you're 60 and 70 now. Which is amazing, because actually sometimes you look out on those packed matinees and they are absolutely loving every moment and reliving every moment as well. The demographic of people are between 60 and 70 now, and you look out and it's just this sea of people. It's like seeing my mum and dad everywhere, this is the audience. We used to call them like a blue rinse audience, right, in the old days. Terrible. But when I was first started out, I did, proper legit musicals like Crazy for You and Me and My Girl. And on the Wednesday matinee, we used to call it the Blue Rinse Brigade. These older people that were probably 16, 70. The 60 and 70-year-olds now are like, I don't know, that, their interests and stuff is rock music. It's not the old, the old tunes from the 40s and 50s. It's rock music. So it is amazing. And we, there have been times where we've come to stage door and we've met people that have like, oh, can you sign this? Oh, I was there. I was 15 and me and my boyfriend went. And that's amazing. I love meeting people that were actually at Live Aid. I think it's amazing.
Yeah. I laughed a little bit because I was, when you said, oh, the demographic is this, I'm thinking, Yeah, I'm in there somewhere.
I know.
We
Well,
forget how old we are.
we were 9 and 10 when Live Aid was
Mm,
on the telly, and I was 10, and I remember it. I
yeah.
remember it. I mean, sorry, is that giving our ages away? You can no.
It is, but I'm not ashamed. I'm
Me
proud of my
neither.
age.
Me neither. But I was, I was 10, and I do remember it. It was, I don't know. It was just my dad was obsessed with it as well. My dad made me sit down and watch it, and it was on all day. And a friend of mine from school came, and it was a really, really hot day, Live Aid, and a friend of mine came just before we had the 40th anniversary, and Bob really did want the world. He wanted the country to come together again on that
Yeah.
day, but you just can't do it now because there are so many things, streaming stuff for people to watch. He wanted, I think there was the thought of like having big screens up and stuff, but you know, and I was telling a friend of mine, I said, she said, well, she said, I don't think, she says, people won't be wheeling their televisions out onto the patio or onto the balcony. And I thought, oh my God, yeah. And that was the thing, when tellies were on trolleys or on coffee tables in a corner,
Yeah.
it was so hot that people were literally taking the telly outside into the yard or the garden or the balcony to watch it because it went on all day and it was a boiling hot day.
Mm.
So, it was a moment in time that is so wonderful to go back and remember, and just the vastness of it. He's an amazing man, that's Bob.
Yes. Yeah, he is. He is. But then you're an amazing woman, so we need to talk about you a little bit more, don't we? So we met, obviously, I've already mentioned, more than 30 years ago.
Drama school.
Yeah. So even before then, obviously, you knew, didn't you, that you were going to sing, you were going to be on the stage. When did that start for you? Like, can you remember like the first time you went, that's what I'm going to be and do?
Yeah, I think, funnily enough as well, the first song, this is why Live Aid has been so special to me. The first song my dad sort of made me sing in public was Feed the World. In the Working Men's Club on the bingo mic on Boxing Day 1984. So that's why it's been a whole full circle for me. But I think I would have been about 8 or 9, and I watched Annie. And I actually read a story about somebody yesterday, a woman who's nominated for an Oscar. She's from Manchester. She's in the movie Sinners. I can't remember her name. But I think she's 39, so she's younger than me. But she loved Annie, and she watched it over and over and over again. And I thought a family thought she was going to go into economics or maths or something like that. And she's like, I want to do that. And the family were like, well, how do you do that? And she's like, I don't know. She said, don't you have to go to drama school? And she literally Googled drama schools. The first thing that came up was RADA. She went to RADA. Now she's nominated for an Oscar. And I thought, God, even for somebody who's gone to RADA and is a straight actor, if you like, with the fact that I'm in musical theatre, even a film that I would deem a real big musical theatre film had inspired somebody, like that, who would never even knew about going to dancing school or going to amateur dramatics. So yeah, I watched Annie over and over again. And my dad I went to the theatre a lot. I'm sure the first piece of theatre I went to see was a pantomime, which is true for most people. That's why pantomime is so important and is not to be poo-pooed by people, because actually it's probably the first piece of theatre anybody sees. As a child, we were always at the theatre, lucky enough to go and see stuff. There was one very profound moment where my dad took me to see a matinee of Evita, and it was a tour of Evita. It would have been in the late 80s. I would have been about 13, I think. I was already at dancing school. I was having singing lessons. I just used to sing anyway, and I was having singing lessons at school. I was in amateur dramatics groups and stuff, so it's definitely something. But there was a definite moment when, and I remember it was a midweek matinee, and my dad wasn't working because my dad was in and out of work because of Sheffield and the steelworks and stuff. So my dad took me to the theatre. And it's weird because it was in the City Hall in Sheffield, which is actually a concert hall. And to tour a show, you would never tour a show to the City Hall, but they did. And I've actually met people since then in the industry that were in that production, which is amazing. And we were sat in the stalls, and it started in the scene, this particular production. They're in the cinema, and it's like they're all watching the cinema, which is the auditorium. So they're looking out, and it's flickering, and people are smoking, and they're in Buenos Aires and everything. And then the announcement comes up that Evita has died. And then that requiem, that orchestra comes in, and there was a loud scream of distress at this news. And then the orchestra kicked in, and I was pinned to my chair, and I thought, I'm in. That is what I want. I want to know what that feeling feels like. So yeah, I was always going to do it.
Yeah, I have an Evita experience actually, probably around the same time. I wonder if it was the same tour. I think it was Jackie Scott that was playing Evita.
Yes, it was Jackie Scott.
Oh my God, my little brother was in the York version. So when they came to York, Ben, my little brother, was in it.
Oh my gosh. Well,
you know, the little kids.
Yeah, so you think about York Theatre Royal, how small that is backstage.
It was the Grand Opera House actually, but it's still
okay,
small,
sorry, the Grand
small.
Opera. So there's, you know, that, and then the Sheffield City Hall. They're two totally. I mean, Sheffield City Hall doesn't even have a fly tower, so I don't know how they adapted it or why they went there. I would be really interested to find out now with my geeky theatre brain. But they didn't have, you know, nothing tall to the Crucible, because that was a thrust, and it was a rep theatre. The Lyceum at the time was completely shut down. So I don't know why, but yeah, that very production.
Yeah, it was a goodie.
Yeah, it really was amazing.
Yeah. I feel really bad because I can't remember the guy who played Che Guevara, but
no,
he was
I
fantastic
can't, though.
as well.
I can't. I'm just, as soon as you said that, I thought, who was everybody else in that production? But I don't know. But more than likely, when we hang up, I will go and look it up.
Okay, good. So you've moved me seamlessly onto, you said theatre geek. I wouldn't say that. We talk about how if you're going to be in this game, it's everything, you know, and I would call it an obsession. You've got to be obsessed and hungry to be able to stay in it, because you get so much rejection. I did say then. I'm not in the game experiencing the same level of rejection now because I've got my business, but I remember what it was like. And I think you're a lot tougher than I am. But also, I remember when we were at musical theatre school together and meeting at the same age, and I'd already been like off around the world.
Yeah, you'd already been working.
Knew nothing. I knew nothing. So I was just like, I had no confidence, nothing like that. Just put me on the stage and I'll do it. That was me.
Yeah.
You, oh my God, you knew every name, you knew every musical, you were just living, breathing, like soaking it up like a sponge.
Yeah.
And that taught me a lot about what is necessary and what is required.
Yeah.
I think it teaches me a lot about you now and why you're still in it, why you're still doing it and doing so well. So can you think about ever feeling that obsessed about anything else?
No. And it's not like, and it's not, I tell you another thing as well. I don't like listen to musical theatre in the car. I mean, I might do every so often. I'm just listening to the new Ragtime recording, which is absolutely mind-blowing. And I might listen to something if I'm up for something, but it's not like I live and breathe it. I just have a real interest of knowing who wrote that. Oh, they wrote the same thing as that, and connecting dots, really, I think. And I think it came from the fact that I did do amateur dramatics as a young kid, and back then, you know, there's a lot more. Musical theatre has changed a lot, and it's not very often now that you get a legitimate piece of musical theatre like Ragtime or like Crazy for You, something that's a classic, if you like. Yeah. Everything's very contemporary now. So now amateur dramatic societies can do Kinky Boots, they can do the full Monty, they can do, you know, you can do a teen version of Six, and that, you know, when I was in the 80s, we were doing Sound of Music and Annie Get Your Gun and My Fair Lady and Guys and Dolls. So actually I was brought up on that. Not so much by my mum and dad. My mum and dad loved a musical, and if Hello Dolly was on the TV, which is probably my most favourite musical on
Oh, yeah.
film, they'd be like, right, we're recording it. Come on, watch this. It's Barbra Streisand. So I think and my dad would like, oh, there were a film on really late last night, a chorus line. I taped it, yeah. And, it's like, and it was on at 11 o'clock at night on BBC Two. Never forget. I mean, he'd been up and he thought, oh, I'll take that. So I definitely was educated and, put in front of it by my parents. But then, I don't know, from doing Amdram and just having a thirst for it really and knowing. And so now I sort of, when I teach, I don't teach. When I coach, which is not all the time, but if I'm invited into a drama school like LSMT, which I love to go back to, and do an acting through song class, which you and I remember on Fridays, and they sort of get up and I say, what are you singing? This, and what's it from? Who's it by? And it's like, you've got to know those things.
Yeah.
You cannot just pluck a song out of somebody because you like it. Fair enough, yeah. But you've got to know, and that's audition prep. Going in and saying, oh, what are you going to sing? Oh, I've not heard this. What's it from? Oh, it's from such and such and who wrote that? Oh, those wrote it that wrote that. Others. Just have the knowledge, be backed up with that knowledge so that when they do question you, it's there, you've got the information ready, and that's going to impress them. And it's gonna make them realise she knows what she's doing. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
you're serious about it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I very quickly pulled my socks up and learn my stuff. But I think for me, I needed to go in and put my head in a book because I am a bit of an introvert, and so I needed to do the degree and then read the Shakespeare and deep dive into all of that stuff. So we all do it really differently, don't we? But I'm just hearing you speak, and I'm thinking, obviously now I'm in business and I actually help people to pitch for investment or to pitch for new clients, pitch for a contract, or to interview, so many different things. It's all about communication and how they come across. And every single time I will be saying, you do your research first. You've got to figure out if you're going to be the right fit, or that you find the right words to say, or you help them understand, you understand them, and that you're aligned with them and you can work with them. Help them to visualize what you're going to be like in that role before they've even employed you, because then you're more likely to get the job. And everything that you're talking about, everything that I learned in the performing arts industry is so applicable today. And actually, you know what, Mel, a lot of especially our younger people starting out in the world right now, they don't have those skills because it's so easy to just quickly Google something. You don't have to sit down, study, learn, get yourself out there, be in it, learn it. And you're doing it at home without people around you who you can talk to about it. You just literally, you don't even know if it's verified. You don't even know if it's true. You're literally just taking information and blurting it out with very poor communication skills. And people are really struggling now. So I think what we learned was a massively
huge,
awesome foundation, not just for the industry that you're still in, but for me in my business now and the way that I teach now.
Yeah.
I mean, you must think that for your daughters as well.
I was just about to say, actually, that especially with both of them dance and they want to, I think they want to do or at least have a go of going to college and everything. But Annabelle my eldest had to audition for some courses recently, and she had to choreograph a piece and sing something. And I made sure that her going in, she sang something from Everybody's Talking About Jamie, which is a musical that I had done. And I said, right, what's the song called? I said, and what's it from? I said, and who wrote it? And I was like, you're going to have to know those things.
Yeah.
I said, it was written by a guy called Dan Gillespie, the music anyway, Dan Gillespie Sells, and he was in a really famous pop group called The Feeling. That's important to know. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not hard on them that way, but I do make sure that they are. I just think you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong by equipping yourself with the right information. It's like going into an interview in a business case, or an audition for us, or a meeting, as some people like to call it.
Yes.
And just knowing, right, okay, it's at 2:20 at Danceworks, right? Who am I meeting? The director, yeah, I've met him before. MD, oh, not worked with them before. I wonder what they did. Have a look. Oh, yeah, they did that. Casting director, oh, yeah, they saw me for that role the last time I was in. Do you know what I mean? But also another thing about going in equipped and being, it took me a while. It took me a long time. When we were at college, I was, I know that I can say this now. I know that I stood out vocally and as a performer. And when I used to get the critique at the end of the day, I kind of just couldn't take it in that I was better if they told me it didn't suit me and I'd agree. And yeah. Like I was better at getting negative than I was positive. I just couldn't take the positive on. And so therefore my confidence I don't think my confidence got me through in the early years. I think my chops did. But now as I've gotten older, I remember we're talking, how old's Annabelle? 15. So maybe like 12, 13 years ago, there was a job that I really wanted and I'd waited a long time to do it. And I absolutely had this thing in my head and I thought, and maybe it was because I'd had a child. And once you've done that, once you've birthed and raised a human, it's, and I remember going in with this thing in my back of my head going, and if they'd have asked me, I would have said, I am the right person for this job. And I know I am. I didn't say that to them, but that was the thing that had going on in my mind, the thought process, which obviously paid out. And so a lot of the time now, if I definitely know that I'm the right person, I go in with that kind of confidence, and also knowing as well that everybody else is a human as well, and you don't know what their morning's been like. We just rack ourselves with, and also another thing, one of our mutual best friends, James Pearson, who's a casting director, I remember them posting stuff because they're really moving with the industry and the times, I think now, is they once tweeted something about when you come in the room, we only want you to be great. We only want to like you. We want you to come in and be brilliant and be your best self. We're not, for so long, I think, especially in any kind of interview, you imagine a table, people sat behind it, shuffling papers, and you walk into this big room and it's daunting, yes. But unfortunately, that's how. But I think how things are moved now, you might find that a business meeting now might be around a round table, or when you have an audition now, it's like, come and sit down, Mel, and let's chat first. And that's a really great way of doing that. But they're not asking you to come into their room to fail. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to waste their time of going, oh, we've invited this person in. They're terrible. Don't want them for the job. Let's see them anyway. Why would they do that? So that's something else that I tell students as well. It's like, they only want you to be brilliant. They are literally really gunning for you because they're the person that's brought you in the room to show to the director and choreographer, but like, look at this person that I found. Aren't they brilliant? So that's, and I, and even now after 30 years in the industry, I still have to tell myself those things when I'm going in.
Yeah. I'm just taking a quick pause from this episode to tell you about a brand new free digital product I've launched just for you. I've put together a collection of some of the best speaking tips I've collated from decades as a speaker trainer and coach. These tips are a fantastic place to start to improve your skills and transform your communication game. As I said, it's completely free. Click the first link in the description, pop in your email, and I'll send it over to you. I've also put the link to my newsletter in the description, so check that out too. Now, on with the episode. It's so important what you're saying there. I mean, I talk about that a lot. I literally use the sentence, they are willing you to do well every time. Yeah. It's important what you're saying, this whole mindset thing, because especially women and women getting to a certain age, they're really struggling with a positive mindset. Yeah. So lots of lots of things start to come up for them, like, am I going to be judged on my age, the way I look, or am I going to forget what I'm going to say? Am I going to get hot and flustered, and am I going to have a hot flush? And am I still credible because there are all these younger people coming up? And actually, all of that negative mind chatter is so debilitating. It doesn't get you anywhere. But if you actually talk to yourself about what is true, like, I'm experienced, I'm knowledgeable, I know my stuff, I am right for this, just get on with it. 9 times out of 10, everybody's like, oh, thank God for that. We can just relax now because they're just getting on with it. It's really, really important what you're saying across the board. I mean, I hate the term imposter syndrome. I think, well, it is constructed. It is debilitating. As soon as we say it, we start to go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And so if we can just actually say, like, sometimes, I want to ask you about this, Mel. So I've got a routine, and I've always had it since doing auditions, which is I get there early, let them know that I'm in the building, sign, get them to take my mugshot, whatever they need to do as I sign in. Then I go away to a quiet room, which is usually a toilet cubicle, and I breathe. So I do deep breathing, so I'm connecting with that nice deep breath so I can support my voice, but all my body's oxygenated, and I slow down my pace, to manage those nerves. And I warm up my face, and I do tongue twisters. And the last thing I do is I say to myself, what do I want to get out of this? And I answer it, and I literally leave. I don't second guess. I just go with that. And as well as I do, actually, sometimes in an audition situation, you might be waiting with a lot of other people around you, and their sort of attitude could infect yours. So you need to leave the toilet cubicle like a ready Breck man, which is, again, showing my age, with this kind of like force field around you that no one can enter into. And you carry yourself with power into that thing, no matter what it is, whether you're performing, speaking, working, whatever it is. Would you agree with that?
100%. I really would. And
do you have a prep?
I mean, I think in the older days, when I didn't have anything else to think about but myself and my prep for an audition, I would be at home and I'd warm up and I'd go through the stuff. If I've got things to, well, yeah, I will have stuff to go in and, sing through my song, look at the sides again, not stress over sides anymore, and just say, I'm going to hold it. Because is that okay? Always check in with them as well. Do you mind if I hold this? I'm pretty sure I'm okay. Because they would rather you be able to refer back to it so you don't have to stop, So, and I always get there. I always check in advance where it is. I never just leave the house and go, where am I going? I'll check on the day that I get the audition and I go, I've never been there before, which is random these days because I think I've been to every audition venue in London. Check what my route is, how long it's going to take me to get there. Definitely get at least in the area half an hour before, and maybe in the building 20, 15 minutes before. I'll always have water. I'll warm up again. I mean, sometimes when the tube's coming in and it's really noisy, that's always a good way to sort of just check that you can siren and warm up on the tube platform. And yeah, I think the breathing thing for me, I've had to do in recent years since, perimenopause appeared, and trying to settle my breath. In fact, I still do it. And I realized this last night. I have to do it on stage sometimes and I did it again last night, sometimes at the same point, not exactly the same point, but the same time in the show where I'm forward and something's happening and I've got 2 bits to say either side. And it's a moment where I'm reflecting anyway, so it kind of works. But sometimes I think you have this person on your shoulder. You don't know it, you don't know it, you don't know it. You're going to forget it. You're going to forget it, and sort of sometimes I just have to take a real deep breath and use that in some sort of performance way as well. And just settle my breath and go, it will come out. I do know what I'm doing. I've done this now 200 times, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, as far as the, and then the routine of going back to the routine. So as long as I'm settled and I don't walk in a bag of nerves, which I used to, but now, like I said, it's going to be 5-10 minutes out of my whole day. And my whole day is now making sure the children are up, what's for dinner, making sure there's things, all the stuff over there. And then my show that I've got to do, it's going to take up 4 hours of my day. This is 5 to 10 minutes that I'm going in to do something. And yes, it's important because I'm trying to get a job, but no one wants you to come in flapping and be, so I'm, even if I'm not, I will always look like I'm calm and I'm chill and say hello, have a smile, make sure you have eye contact with everybody on the on the board. You know, if I've not met somebody, how are you? Haven't seen you since then. Hello, 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 hello. Make sure I've given everybody eye contact and said hello to the pianist. Yeah, that's important. Not just giving, because usually there'll be at least 4 or 5 people on a panel sometimes. Sometimes it might only be 2, but sometimes there's 4 or 5 people. And you can't just direct your eye contact to the one person that's speaking all the time, which will be the director or the casting director. If you take everybody in, that makes them feel, that makes them feel included in your audition. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
important.
Yeah, really important. And the competition is so high now, right? I mean, you're experienced, you're where you are because you're brilliant. There are so many brilliant people in any industry. The competition is so high. So not only do you have to be super talented, but you have to be someone they like and want to work with. They're not going to know that unless you actually engage with them.
Exactly.
Help them to understand that you'd be somebody who would be really lovely to work with.
Yeah.
It means a lot.
It does. And that's what's so good about being in a room for an audition, is you can give them part of your personality. You know, more than likely I might drop my papers or trip up on the way and and I'm a bit of a fool and a loon, but that's sort of an icebreaker, to all casting directors out there. I don't do that on purpose. But this is the thing with taping, and you'll know from acting days of having to do a self-tape. And then obviously since COVID, that happens all the time now.
Yeah.
Especially for initial rounds. So I've taped for something last week, but I know I'm going to be in the room for it next week. And that is the way of the casting directors, what's it called? The chaff from the...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Separating the wheat from the chaff.
There we go.
Yeah.
And, a lot of the time you saw, and I don't know whether I was watching... I think I might have even been reading about a casting director or watching a video or something about how difficult we find it as actors to tape. Because also, I'm not a lighting designer. I don't have props. People go all out, like costume props. It's like, hang on a minute. If I was going in the room, I wouldn't be taking all that with me. I digress though. It's about personality. And somebody said, yes, all you're doing is pressing record and doing the sides or singing a song, but when you do your slate at the beginning and you say who you are and who you're represented by and who you're reading for, make sure your personality comes across then, because it's the only chance you've got when it comes to a tape. So don't be like nervous and edgy and like or I'm pissed that I've had to do this. Be like, hi, I'm Melissa. You don't have to just be comfortable in your own space. Sometimes I might have my glasses in my hand or the script or something. Make it comfortable.
Yeah.
So they go, oh, she's nice. She's got a nice friendly face. She'd be nice to work with. And then it fade out, fade in.
Yeah. But also, I mean, when I'm working with speakers, I do say to them, look, if you're relaxed, your audience can relax. Because don't forget, at that point, they are more important than you are.
Yes. Yeah.
It's what they receive which is going to get you where you want to get to next. It's the value they receive from you that helps them to make a decision, gives them a call to action, leaves them feeling changed, whatever it is. At that point, they need to feel in a position where they're not worrying about your nerves or how you feel about yourself or all of that stuff. They just need to be able to sit back, relax, receive it, make a decision and move forward. And that is... People forget that as an individual, when you're standing there in front of an audience, you are in control of it. You're not the victim. You're actually in charge.
Yes.
You get to decide.
Yeah. And sometimes that can, you know, I remember once having this awful, awful show. I was Mamma Mia, I was on for Donna, and some women in the front row made me feel it looked as if they were commenting and looking and gossiping and and I then ended up having a show where I felt conscious. Oh my God, what they're saying about me. And then it wasn't until I had a horrendous show and I was so cross with them for making me feel like that. And I was like, hang on a minute, you've paid to come and see me do what I do on this stage. I'm the one that's got, do you know what I mean? I was like, why are you making me feel like that? This is my job. This is what I'm here to do. But also, you know, the sort of the likability, I think a lot of the time, saying about an audience feel comfortable or a panel or a room of employees or whatever, I think it's that sort of and I know that a lot of directors I've worked with or choreographers or creatives, whatever, have always said, oh, we always feel this sense of like, you know, this sort of, I don't know, like safety almost, especially in this show that I'm doing, which is kind of it's not a thankless role, but it's kind of a narrator moves on from, you know, I just go, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened.
Yeah.
But, you know, people have said, you know, you just have such warmth, Mel, and when you come on and if there's an ease about it, it might not be tricks of the trade. It might not be easy, but if I make it look like I'm really comfortable and this is easy and I'm really enjoying it, then your audience is at ease.
Yeah. And gosh, there's so much in this, Mel, because I'm just thinking now, you know, it is on us to overcome what's going on and show up and present the best version of ourselves in all situations if we want to get something out of it. But also if we want to make sure that other people do as well. And then I think, I know it's not always easy for you.
No.
So if you forgive me, I know that when I came to see you, I thought it was amazing. Obviously, I watch you, I cry. I'm like, it's amazing. I meet you
always cry
afterwards
at a
in the
friend doing
pub.
well.
Sorry?
I'll always cry at a friend, even if it's not a sad song, even if they've just been amazing. I'm just so moved by friends doing lovely things.
Yeah. I mean, it is incredible to see your friends doing well. But to meet you in the pub after and you said, oh, mate, I was in the wings, like having a panic attack. And we would never have known.
And weirdly, I don't know why, but I can't remember that one specifically. I think because I've got used to dealing with them over the past few years. They don't happen very often. But the first time I ever had a really bad one, when I definitely knew I didn't really know I was heading into, no, I did. It was when we came out of COVID and I was at Jamie and it was before I was on HRT and anxiety was one of my most prevalent symptoms. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've had a hot flush in this part of our lives that we're at. It all happens. People have different symptoms and some are worse than others. And anxiety, and I'd never had anxiety before in my life. Well, looking back now, I sort of think, oh, maybe that's what that feeling was when I was a teenager. You know, you're not aware of it. But I was on stage, second act, and we went into this office scene, and I was sat in this office scene, and I was like, what? I could feel it wash over me, and I wanted to get off stage. I was like, get me off this stage. I cannot do this. I thought your breath gets shallow, you know, all those things. And actually, I went straight back to my dressing room. I was tearing my clothes off me. I had to change costume anyway, but I was tearing them off me. And the girl I was playing opposite with came. She was like, "What can I do? Anything I can do?" I was like, "No, I just need to. I need to tell it to go away." To be honest, but weirdly, that afternoon we'd had, because we were returning to work after COVID. The industry now are really tapping into using lots of companies now to help with mental health and help with stuff. And we just had our first session that afternoon. And they were talking about distraction therapies. Like, if you feel like you're getting in that, start naming everything blue in the room or count from such, you know, all these tools that you know to deal with. And I'd only learnt them that afternoon. So, and I knew that the next thing coming up for me was this big scene, and He's My Boy, which is the big 11 o'clock number, massively emotional, technically really difficult song, big old song. And I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I don't think for a minute then I would have gone, I have to stop the show. I have to go off. Because also that's not really in me either, which, to be honest with you, it should be. You should be able to go, I can't do this. I need to stop. I think if you were in an office, you might go, I need to go home. I'm not feeling very well. Whereas, you know, show must go on, but at what cost, you know? Anyway, my friend Sejal said, I'll leave you to it. Water, everyone's kind of, I was like, I don't need people to fuss though, because then that's going to, I remember going into the toilet, counting this, I think I was counting backwards from 300 or something like that. And I literally was telling it to evolve. I was like, I do not need you right now. You need to go away. I need you to leave me, go away. I don't need it right now. And I was like, right, how am I going to do He's My Boy? And I was getting calmer. But then I went to the stage and I thought, right, I just need to get through it technically, line by line, just really go through the techniques of thinking about where I'm placing, and don't think about the song or the lyric or what's happening to me right now. Just go on there and do it technically. And I did, got through it. I'm pretty sure I could probably hold my hand up and say that nobody knew that that was happening to me. And then came off stage and bawled my eyes out. Then it came out. But I knew I'd had to get to that. I'd got to get through that and over that to get off stage. And then I could do whatever I needed to do. But when it hits you in the middle of a show that had never happened to me before in my life. And now, when you said that when you came to see me, I don't know why I can't specifically remember that day, but I think it's probably because I'm so used to going, breathing, riding the wave, you know, a bit like a contraction, riding the wave and going, actually nothing is going to happen to me. Nothing bad's going to happen to me.
So what you're talking about there is mental resilience.
Yeah.
So it literally is mind over physical matter, isn't it? At that point.
Yeah.
Which I think is, I'm so happy that you're talking about this, because I know for a fact, having watched you and you telling me that happened to you when I was watching you, that we don't see it, we don't know it. You are overcoming it and you are getting on with it, even though you're going through that level of anxiety. And what is happening, which is amazing, is you're going through it and you're coming out of the other side, and it might not be very nice, but you know that you are okay because you've actually done it. So you've proved to yourself you can get through that horrible feeling. It's a physical thing. It's not just like a horrible emotion. It takes over your whole body. Yeah, but you can get through it, and that you're going to be okay. So you've proved to yourself that you will.
Yeah.
And that just strengthens your resilience and capability.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that you share that story, because there are so many people out there who think, I can't cope, I won't be okay. So therefore, hold themselves back and don't do stuff.
Because if it happens to them once, they'll think, oh, I tried that. I tried speaking in front of a load of people once, and I got so nervous I'd never do it again.
Yeah.
But you can write, and it's and like you said, come out the other side, and it's just like another tool for your kit, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Not to say that you should and that you have to keep pushing through. Some days, there are days where, you know, I'm at home, everyone's out, I'm tired, I've done 8 shows or whatever, it's Monday. And if I feel like that, it's all right to lean into it as well.
Yeah.
And just take the day to just think, oh, you know what, that's taking its toll on me, and I can actually ride it a bit longer today and just let myself, you know, settle.
Yeah, I must admit, because I get really nervous before I go on stage. More nervous now, actually, when I'm delivering a keynote, because it's me and I can't hide behind a character. So I get really nervous, and I actually now factor in days off after speaking where I don't have to speak to anyone and I can just recover.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to do it.
Yeah. I've only learned to do that over the past few years. And in fact, it was my husband that had said to me, on a 2 show, especially after having the girls, if you have 2 on a Wednesday, on a Thursday, don't make a plan for Thursdays. And I used to be very good at filling my diary. I must see that person. I must do this. I must do this. But over the past few years, I've learned to just say no. and he said, and just don't do anything on a Thursday, rest and recover. And I was like, crikey, okay, that's alien to me. All right. But it's vital. It's vital for a reset, for emotional reset, self-care. It's okay to, I was thinking it's just the way I was brought up. I was conditioned to make sure that you work hard, I can't sit around not doing anything. In fact, I was listening to a podcast of somebody yesterday who said they really need to work on their mental health more, because actually when they are working at it, it's good. But a lot of the times they find themselves not doing anything and they think, I could be clearing that cupboard out, or I could be doing that. And that was very much me 5 years ago. But I think COVID maybe taught us all, it's actually nothing you can do. So I've learned to actually just think, right, the girls have left for school, I'm going back to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do think the challenge for our generation is to switch off. I don't think it's easy for us. We have to tell ourselves to do it.
Yeah, we do.
Thing. So I wanted to talk to you because voice is everything to me, and it's become everything to me actually over time. And I think it's become more so because there was a period in my acting career where I was doing a lot of performance and I wasn't even speaking. So then I realized voice isn't just about the words you say, it's about the way you behave, the things that you actually do, how you exist in this world, how you help others to see you and understand your voice in more ways than one. But then I was thinking about that for me, and then I was thinking about, Christ, for Mel, that's insane, because your voice is your work, your voice is your livelihood, it's your career, the sound of it. So it's not just in your behaviors, it's actually in the health of it. And there must be such a strong emotional connection with your voice. I don't know if I'm making much sense.
No, I know.
I wonder if you could just unpack that a little bit for me, so I understand it.
I have a very strong voice, and he has done me good for 30 years. And there is fatigue. Of course, we all get fatigued. On a Saturday night, I'm like, I definitely couldn't do another one. But Sunday, I don't not speak, but I definitely won't try and go and sing. And if I'm doing 8 shows a week, I won't do a concert on a Sunday, because I just can't keep up with that. Rest and hydration and all that. If the only times I've ever, and this is where going to what you just said about how you connect to it, the only times I've ever really is when I'm in trouble vocally, is if I'm sick. If you've got a cold, if you've got allergy, then you've got allergy. It's on your fold. You're not going to be able to sing the end. And that you have to get over with. You're like, oh, but it's just a cold. Yeah, but that's going to affect all of this. And you can, if you don't feel unwell, but sinusitis can hang around for ages and it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So when I'm sick, but trauma and any kind of emotional upset will go straight to your voice. Not maybe for everybody. And I didn't really ever think that I was that kind of person either. But I realized that on this job, there's a point in the show every night where I have to, 2 points where I have to use my sort of mix and my small, pretty, thin fold voice, which is not very me. Although it's becoming more me as I get older. And I used to worry about it. Oh, it's not going to come out. And the more I worry about it, your mind, as soon as I go, you're not going to hit this, 9 times out of 10, it probably won't, because your voice just goes, okay. And I had some loss in September last year, and there was a lot of traveling up and down to Sheffield. So lots of traveling takes it out of you, doesn't it? Driving takes it out of you. Grief and loss, but not like deep like my dad. And actually the universe knew that when I lost my dad not to send me any work, and I wasn't working. And it's wild how that happened. But on
Wow.
this job, but you know, it sort of wasn't like I'm so upset I can't go to work. I'm just like, oh God, this is awful. We're dealing with it. Anyway, I'll go to work. And I just think that I can just carry on like that. And then I started to get this particular point in the show, it just wasn't happening. And I had to go to the MD and go, okay, I need to sort this out. I don't want to have to go off because I'm not sick. I've just got a point in my voice at the moment that's just not working. So we looked at an option, which everybody has options in shows. You know, on a Saturday night, you might want to do one that you've waited to do all week because you're feeling better voice than you did on Wednesday. But we had to find this other option for me, which was almost down, it was down an octave, which was, I didn't want to do because I'm stubborn like that. No, if that's what's written, that's what I'll sing. But I had to come up with this option, and I chose it for a bit, not for very long, maybe about a week, or I know it's in my back pocket now for when but then I realised that I sort of, once we'd come out of the other side of this loss that we'd had in the family, I was all right. And I thought, God, that's what was happening. Even though I can't address it, even if I can't, do you know what? My voice is like this now because we're going through this as you know, this is what's happening. Because I don't feel that that's justified. I couldn't recognise that that's what it was. And only until after, where my voice has been amazing, touch wood, for the past, since then, you know, so it's just strong as an ox. And I'm like, well done, little larynx, on a Saturday night. I think you got me through 8 shows. When I look back now, I think, yeah, there was a lot going on. There's no wonder. And it will always go straight to you, to everything that happens here, you know, when you get emotional,
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
goes
It's
there.
that. Yeah. We're
So,
just connected, aren't we?
yeah.
In every sense, right through the body.
And I'm quite a technical singer, so I don't just go balls to the walls where I just think, oh well, that'll sound good. I'm not great today actually, because last night I did something and ended up growling a little bit on something. I thought, that's not good. You know, I am a technical singer. I know where I can play stuff. I can get up onto a shelf and I know it's safe to do it there. I don't do anything out of my realm where I think, because you just think, if I do that, I won't be able to speak tomorrow. So you can't, it's because you've got to maintain it as well. But then it's muscle memory as well. You know, when we were doing Jamie and we had this mad Christmas schedule and I was just banging out Here's My Boy night after night after night. I was like, how are you doing it? And I was a little bit like, I don't know, but we'll talk about it because apparently I'm doing all right. And let's just keep on that level. And that's another thing. It's a mindset. I think
Yeah.
if I start thinking, I don't think I can do another show, my voice will probably go, okay.
Yeah.
If I just go, yeah, let's keep going. And it's a treadmill. And you keep, and that's what I have to do. I have to power on until you can't, until I get to a point where I think, do you know what? If I push it today, I probably won't be good for 2 shows tomorrow. So you have to be sensible, but it is so connected, so connected. You think about, you know, if you were talking to somebody who's got to speak in front of, what do you think about speaking at a funeral or something? You know, it's just like, you'll try, as soon as you one word, and that's it. You literally stop speaking because you can't. Everything goes there. So when you're doing an emotive piece, you know, that's why, like, He's My Boys, you know, going back to Jamie, because that was the last kind of very big emotive thing that I did. People are like, how do you do that every night? And you sort of think, well, I don't want to be like a false, but I can't connect to it too much, because if I completely connected to it, you'd never get through it.
You'd be shattered, though. I mean, it's such an emotional
Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to sing
song.
it. So that's where you
Yeah.
know, your acting chops has to come into that. And actually, sometimes watching a person try not to cry is the most emotional thing than actually seeing somebody just bawling their eyes out.
Of course it is.
Watching somebody trying to hold it together is way more emotional and pulls at your heartstrings.
Every time.
So that's always my go-to.
I wanted to ask you, though, like, how would you feel if you didn't have your voice?
It's the biggest fear. And sometimes when I was going through this moment that I just told you about, where I had to work something out, that's it. Your brain just goes, maybe there is something wrong. Maybe you need to get a camera down. And I've had a camera down a couple of times, because you're like, what's, and they're like, I remember the last time I lost my voice completely, And I went and had a camera down, and I was pregnant actually, so I couldn't take anything. And the voice doctor said, he's like, yeah, so it's just your folds are just covered in phlegm and sticky and sore because you're poorly. And I can't give you a steroid to let the inflammation go down because you're pregnant. So laryngitis will happen. Your voice will just go. But you straight away, because it's your toolbox, is what you do, your voice just goes straight to, your mind just goes, oh my God, what if it is? And what if I have got a nodule? It's okay. It's an injury. And that's another thing that has become much more normal in the past few years, is that singers will get injured. If you were playing football and you've got a game on Saturday, but you'd rolled your ankle and you couldn't do it, you wouldn't play. So why would you think, and that's an injury, and you're an athlete and you will get injured, and singers will get injured or will get fatigued and will have to rest. I think we have such again, show must go on. It's been drilled into us. And then if you do get a node or a cyst or something, you think, well, your voice, my voice coach is unbelievable because he does a lot of rehab. Well, then we'll have it removed. You'll rest for 6 weeks, then we'll start the rehab, and then you'll start singing again. It isn't actually, it's not the end of it, if it were to ever happen, touch wood. But you do think, my mind's gone to places before where I think, what if I was in an accident? They'd have to intubate you, and they don't know you're a singer, and they maybe knock your cords or something like that. And then it's like, but then as I've gotten older, I think, well, I just find something else that something else will come. But it's a massive fear. I tripped and bashed my larynx here last year, and it was awful because it was hurting to swallow. It hurt, and I was thinking, what am I going to do? It went away. It was just a bruise, but I bruised that part of my.
Yeah.
Somebody working on a building site be like, cool, that hurts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if they like really hurt their hand, they'd be like, oh, pianists, like if you hurt your hands as a pianist, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're coming to the end of a contract now. So you've got that feeling again where you don't know what's coming next. I mean, it happens to me now in my business because I work on contracts with people. I'm lucky I've got clients who want to stay with me, but I also do these jobs where the contract ends and I'm like, oh, so what's going to come next? And I'm always thinking about what's coming next. How do you feel when it comes to an end? Do you allow yourself a little bit of time to go, do you know what? I deserve a rest. Or do you straight away go,
straight away do that? And towards the end of a contract, I start having some sort of meltdown, like, yep, I'll never work again. Yep. Nope, no one's going to employ me. I'm 50. Yeah, there's nothing for me. There's nothing in town for me, and I go to that place and I do it every time. I haven't done it this time because the past 2 jobs I've not done it because I trust the process and I trust that something will come in. It's taken me 28 years to realize that. But that's a confidence thing, I think, isn't it? You sort of, if you're quietly confident and not out there, and also it's different, I'm not like I haven't got a big profile, or, you've not been on the telly and stuff like that. So it's different in my industry, because if you're a big book earner, then, if you've got publicists, something just always keeps coming in, But when you're a jobbing actor, what is next? But I definitely need a break because I've been on this empty musical theatre treadmill for a while now, job to job. So it will be really nice to have a rest, but then it's affording a rest as well. There's a family, can't just go, right, you're paying for everything now. But it would be good for us, but maybe not for very long. And also because I work in musical theatre and in long contracts, my agents are quite TV heavy, and this from your experience with this. And I've only ever done like one telly, and we were just waiting for me to be available for an episode of Emmerdale to come in or an episode of Coronation Street to come in, because I'm never available for long enough for those things to start coming in. So there are a few things that I'm interested in. and the
Yeah.
eyes on the prize a little bit, and a little bit like one massive job that's coming up, that's a musical that's coming back, that I'm like, I know I'm the best person for that job. I gung ho about it. Like I feel absolutely so strongly about it. So I'm just sort of thinking about that, I also, after this contract in town has been quite a lot. It's been quite exhausting. I actually think something that would feed my soul would be, there's another job coming up that I know on the daily would make me happy. I know that that job would make me happy. It might not be mega bucks, but I know I'd really enjoy doing that, because I still, as much as I sort of like, I want this industry to stop paying me now, like the people that have been on a reality TV show and won, then what they get paid at the side of you is wild. But I still want to do the work. I still want to be challenged. I still want to do something that that makes me think, I'd love to do a play. I don't have to sing. Like maybe I'll do that. Just two-hander, just three people, just the three of us, because I've been used to these big companies and 8 shows a week, commercial theatre, swings, sickness, injuries. Yeah, that's been a lot. So I kind of am ready to sort of like do that a little bit.
Yeah, it's so lovely to hear you say, I want to do these jobs because they're going to make me happy. So I know we're all like worrying about money. I think we're worrying about money more than we ever did, actually. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was saying, actually, in the big scheme of things, we're actually worse off now than we were 20 years ago as a country.
Yeah.
And so I think it is an issue for all of us, but to think that we can, or someone like you can still say, I really want to do that because I know it'll feed my soul, it's going to make me happy. I mean, that's worth a lot.
Yeah.
If we look back from our rocking chairs at 82, and we can look back and we can go, yeah, I was fulfilled. I did what made me happy. I felt like I was living my dream nearly every day of my
Yeah.
life.
Because
Oh my God.
that makes you a better
Amazing.
person at home, makes me a better parent. That's why
Yeah.
I struggled in COVID. And I'm sure we chatted, I'm sure we did something in COVID where it's like,
Yeah, we did.
I was miserable because my job is a massive part of me. It gives me purpose. And when I'm working and I'm fulfilled, then I'm a better person at home. I'm a better parent. I'm a better wife. Where, if I haven't got that other part of me happening, then I'm not great to be around. I am looking forward to having at least a week, 2 weeks off after this marathon. But yeah, because actually, what's the point if it's not going to make, what is the point? I think we are lucky in the fact that we love our jobs. There's, my husband's never really loved what he does, and a lot of people just do a job because it's what they do. Whereas I think, God, we do what we love and we get paid for it, which is amazing. Yeah, and my brother as well, his career path that he took, he has the same feeling. So it's good. Yes, God, I wish I get paid gazillions of pounds a week. I would love that, because I would love to be able to provide more. But yeah, if the struggle of it is, it's not worth it.
Honestly, when we really think about it, there are so many families out there who might have everything, but maybe their parents aren't around as much because they're working so hard to earn that money so they can have the extra holiday or the nice furniture or whatever. And those things at the end of the day don't matter.
Yeah.
If they've got a really happy mum and dad, then essentially,
Yeah, and I know that I go off on tour and I do things that make me go away to different countries. This time last year we were in Toronto, but the girls were able to visit me and come out for a holiday. But all these things are all because then it all brings us back to a certain point where we'll all be like together again and be on holiday, and I'll feel fulfilled. They're always with a parent, at night, day-to-day life is a juggle now. Like, I'm here in the morning for them, not for very long. I take them to school because I can. because I'm here. They could get on the bus, but I think, well, most parents have probably already left the house and have gone before the kids have. So if I'm here, I'll take them. Then I'm here for a bit at the end of the day, and then Harry's here. It's not like, you know what I mean? They're never sort of floating around on their own. So, and, you know, it just, yeah, because I enjoy what I do so much, and this another job that's coming up will take me away. But if I can make it work, I will. And sometimes I just think, oh, that's really selfish. I do think sometimes it makes me selfish.
Mm.
I wouldn't want the girls to think growing up thinking that they couldn't do something that made them
I
happy.
was going to say, I think if because I've got 2 girls, as you know, I think if they can see that their mum is choosing what is good and right for them,
Yeah.
what a great example to
Yeah.
set for you girls.
Yeah.
So I know that my girls don't think that I'm selfish for making choices that I make, and I'm sure your girls are extremely proud of you and don't think that you're selfish at all. I'm sure that I'm sure they're your biggest fan.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. It's not to say that they aren't kids most of the time. They're like, what? You're going away again? You know, or like when I said, I think the last time it was when I was up for a tour, it's another tour. No, mummy, no. And I think, right, hang on a minute.
I'm just thinking, because I could talk to you forever, and I feel like there's so many more things I want to talk to you about, but I know that the girls are coming home,
Yeah.
and I know that that time with them is really important before you go off and do what you're going to do. So, well, let's stop the conversation here, the public conversation that everybody else gets to hear. We can carry ours on for the rest of our lives as friends. Oh, well, thank you, Melissa, for joining me
You're very
on
welcome.
Time to Speak. So that was the incredible Melissa Jacques. Yeah, I just love her. Very close to my heart, obviously. I don't see her enough, don't get to chat to her enough. So that was a really good one for me. There's so much in there, isn't there? It was great to chat with her about what she has to go through to show up and ensure that the show goes on no matter what. And as she said, you know, we can't always do that. Sometimes we've got to be kind to ourselves and take a break and say, no, actually can't do it. But essentially, in that conversation there, Mel proved to me, to herself, to all of us, that actually sometimes pushing through and proving to yourself that you can do it is actually what we need to do, so that next time we know we can save ourselves if it happens again. Brilliant. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and I'll see you on the next episode of Time to Speak. Thank you for listening to today's episode of Time to Speak. If you'd like to listen to more, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and the podcast page on my website, audriewoodhouse.com. This podcast is brought to you by Audrie Woodhouse Honestly Speaking Limited, and it is an Actors Actuality production. See you soon.